Hello, I'm Mariana Morais. I'm an urbanist in my project From Protest to Policies, Navigating Between Streets and Institutions Towards Democratic Cities. Although we've been talking about protests and housing access in Berlin, Germany, I would like to start with this image. This is in Brazil, and the sentence is saying Brazil, indigenous land. So I would like to begin by acknowledging Kaigan and Shokland, the traditional owners of the land where I was born. And I pay my respects to elders past and the multiple indigenous groups that are currently fighting for land demarcation in Brazil. So coming back to Berlin, Germany, this image we are seeing a lot of people in the center of the city with some posters, and in this one, for example, we have the sentence in German saying, "We all stay." So this protest was after the fall of the wall, not some years after the fall of the wall, and people are saying, we want to stay in the city, but after the fall of the wall, all the reunification process also changed the housing situation in Berlin. So when we are talking about participation, we are talking about protests, campaigns, open discussions, occupation of public space. So that's why I'm saying that participation is multidimensional. We are not considering only citizen assemblies and councils, all the institutionalized instruments, but also how people can also claim and have different relations in this boundary between state and society. So we are talking about opposition also, we are talking about negotiation, we are talking about cooperation as well. This image, we are seeing again a lot of people in a demonstration in Berlin, now almost 30 years after the previous image, again fighting for housing. And here is Deutsche Wohnen Co. Enteignen. This means the expropriation of Deutsche Wohnen, which is a company, a corporate landlord in Berlin, and all the companies that have more than 3,000 apartments in Berlin. So this group started 3 years ago. It was like a group of tenants appointed with all the services provided by this kind of company. And okay, they started to call for socialization of housing, for expropriation of these private landlords. When I started to think how I would analyze the effect, the impact of this kind of initiatives in urban policies, I started also to think about some criteria, because I was analyzing direct voting and also representative and deliberative space. And I proposed this four based on some reference, these four criteria. So the first one, formalization, is related to how the procedure is institutionalized. If this is embedded in a constitution, for example, at the federal level, or some municipal policy, for example. Openness, it means what are the opportunities to participate, how this procedure can combine recruitment methods. For example, this is open to all, I'm sorry, or is a lottery, for example, and the participatory dimensions, how we can combine these different institutional and citizen initiatives as well. Inclusiveness, the procedure, how this procedure can really reach out in underrepresented groups and vulnerable regions in the city. And influence, how when we have a procedure and we have some output related to that, how this output can change the outcome, how this is affecting, for example, a law or some another process that we are talking about. Now, applying these criteria to the analysis of this movement, I'm just highlighting here some findings. This one, for example, regarding formalization, is the proactive use of legislation. When this group started, they saw an opportunity on the German Constitution, because in the Article 15, they are already calling for socialization of some public resources. So how we can build an argument based on a legal statement. And also they combined a political slogan. So here in this image, we are seeing Enteignen, again, expropriation in a housing building. And how we can combine this, this socialization, but also some call for that we can base it on mobilization around the city, especially in a city that there is a different relation regarding this, what the meaning of socialization for the city was. It was divided. So how we can also use another term to somehow address these calls to a private in this context to corporate landlords, right? Openness, in this case, talking about opportunities to participate, how the combination of institutionalizing and basic practice can somehow improve the mobilization. So here we are seeing someone signing the campaign for the referendum. And it was a large number of signatures to really be able to pass this referendum. And something, a constraint in this point was voting rights, because some people who don't have German passport couldn't vote, couldn't sign to the campaign to the referendum. And we have also a lot of discrimination in all the housing process. So how people who are not German can also participate. In this case, the campaign collected political signatures, which means they collected signatures from everyone, to everyone, covering everyone. So they could also somehow express the voice of people who couldn't vote in a formalized process. And it's important also to emphasize that opportunities to participate doesn't ensure a high degree of inclusiveness. So how we can also overcome some barriers to participate. And the German language is also a barrier. So, for example, the campaign created this working group in English, they call it Right to the City group. Here we are seeing this magazine and also this cheerleading group performing. So how we can also use different body languages also to express the voices. And here, influence, when we see some direct voting process, sometimes we just are talking about yes or no, what we are seeing in this image, someone with a yes, saying yes for socialization in this case, but how we can have a process that's not just an event, not just an yes and no event, but a really collective process that we can have deliberation, we can hear different voices, we can have discussions in different parts of the city to really create a meaningful process. So to conclude, in September last year, the majority of people in Berlin voted yes for socialization of housing. So now the Senate is dealing with this, with the claim of more than 1 million of people. And what is fascinating for me in this campaign is how they really could use all these constraints, all these institutional constraints to really create a plural participatory process in the city. Thank you.